Hello, this is your boy Conservative 34. We are here live with the Saturday night stream. Thank you everyone for it's going to be coming. I know Talking Tunes Patrick and I don't know if John is going to come on tonight. He's watching the basketball game, but it is time for a Saturday stream. What I thought it would be better is I will start to make videos during the week because, as you guys know, I have ADD. I can't focus. I can't stay on topic when I'm on a live stream. So my goal is to make videos during the week about topics and then have this stream for you guys to interact. Whether it's one of you, whether it's none of you, or whether I post the stream and then people comment after. That way I can get the topics I want out the way, talk a little bit about it, and then have you guys, have a more interactive discussion with me. Again, I always appreciate any perspective because I don't know everything, and nor do I claim to. And also, my opinion is different than other people's opinions, and I'm okay. Unlike a lot of politics and a lot of other parts of our world that aren't okay with objecting opinions or differing opinions, I'm okay with people who have different opinions. I'm glad to have conversations with them, even with a little bit of sarcasm, because I'm from the Northeast. That's what we do. We add sarcasm, jokes to things in a respectable way. So I want to start off here just going over a couple quick things, and then we can get more into talking about what you guys think about the videos I made about set lists and things like that. So the first thing I just want to skim through very quickly what happened this week with shows, and what I thought were some highlights of the shows. And we have Pensacola. That is on, that's the beginning of the week on Tuesday, I believe it was. Yes, it was Tuesday the 30th. And then we had the next day Jacksonville. That was Wednesday, and then yesterday, Friday, we had Memphis. New Orleans is tonight. I guess it went on. I can't find a set list. I'm confused. I don't know if there was a weather delay because there's pictures of Dave on stage and pictures of Warren hopping on stage too. So I don't know. I literally cannot find anything. So let me know if you guys find a link or anything. I've checked all the places that post set lists. Can't find nothing. But Pensacola, I just want to point out the positives that I liked about that show from afar. But I actually got to hear the Raven. So the Raven to me is what I've been told is the highlight of the show, and it is a very special moment for Buddy Strong. Um, and then we have Boa, which is a great song to have in Pensacola where you don't have the hardcore fan base, but they still throw you out something that's just more of a rarity. And then Nancy's, to me, in this day and age, it doesn't get played that much. It still gets played, it still gets, but to me, when I can hear Dancing Nancy's in 2019, it's a special thing because it's not as much of a guarantee as back in, 2000, 2001, 2002, or even the mid 2000s. They just have so many more songs that even Nancy's gets pushed back. And Patrick, we'll talk about that in a moment about the expectations there for those venues. And I agree with what you're saying there, Patrick, about those set lists being expected in every show. Jacksonville, to me, if being that I'm now at that 19 to 20 show mark, I look for moments that if it's just one song or two songs that are special, that makes the show. I don't care what else is played. You could have a set that's very standard or generic. However, if it is something that is, is there's one special moment that's just very rare, to me, that makes the show trip worth it. Okay. It's just like if you have season tickets to any sports team, all it takes is one special moment, even a heck of a comeback, and it makes those games worth it because you're going to see the same thing over and over. If you're a season ticket holder, if you're a diehard fan of someone who's seen them live a bunch of times, all it takes is one moment. Jacksonville, that moment was Cortez the Killer. Okay. Susan Tedeschi Trucks Band. By the way, if you want to see a great band for half the price of DMB that's in their prime right now, it's the Tedeschi Trucks Band. And they opened up with the Marcus King Band as their opener. And then they had Drive By Truckers last year. I mean, you talk about bang for your buck. DMB doesn't have all these openers anymore. Tedeschi Trucks brings one or two people on their lineup. That's amazing. So I saw them last year, 2017. They came down the street from where I live, and they played with Hot Tuna and the Wood Brothers. And I mean, again, a show that is really inexpensive. It's literally at very intimate venues, and you get a heck of a show. So Tedeschi Trucks, man, I highly recommend them. I highly recommend them. They are just an amazing, talented band. So Susan Tedeschi, Dave Matthews, my heart was over with joy when I saw them collab together. And the one thing, because we're going to get to Tim Reynolds a little later today as well, but the one thing about Susan Tedeschi and when they have Warren Haynes is these more soulful guitar players that don't know all the scales that Tim Reynolds knows, but they just play from their heart. To me, that is something that, again, that I just love, and I get it from other bands. That's why I go to other bands. But that soulful feeling of Susan Tedeschi playing there, and she doesn't always shine. Derek is the lead, but to hear her get some shine, it's like when Bob Weir guests with DMB. When Bob Weir guests with DMB, it's like, and Patrick says it, less is more. When Bob Weir guesses, you get to hear him more out than you hear him with the Dead and Company, or when he was with the Grateful Dead, because he's a rhythm guitar player. So to hear these rhythm guitar players, Susan and Bob Weir, if they can, I know it's the first time Susan did it, I want more of that. You need John. We'll talk about it in a moment. And that's your opinion. I mean, you think Tim Reynolds is, and that's your opinion. And some of my friends, they like prog rock. That means crazy scales, very technical stuff. Other of my friends like more of the soulful stuff, and that's where I get it. You got an Allman Brothers band thing behind me, and I don't have any Umphrey's McGee, but I listen to Umphrey's McGee all the time. And those are two, those bands, Umphrey's being more technically crazy and having great vibes there, and then the Allman Brothers, they're just soulful. They're just about your heart. And John, Tim is not a god, okay? All right, he's more like a prophet or a disciple, because gods can do everything. Tim doesn't have the songwriting of Dave. Tim's doesn't have he sticks to his thing, which is slaying the guitar. So he's not a god. He's more of a prophet or a wizard. You can call him a wizard. A young Harry Potter or old Harry Potter. But in wizard age, Tim Reynolds is really young. But we'll get to that in a moment. But let me just go through. So Pensacola and Jacksonville highlights. So Raven, Boa, and Nancy's the highlights for Pensacola. To me, just looking at the set, listening to a little stuff. Jacksonville, Cortez alone, that would be worth the trip for me. You're going to hit me up on the messenger. Yeah? Pull up to the messenger, John. We talk about that. But he's a prophet. He's not a god. He's like Carmelo, okay? Carmelo is really great scorer, but he can't play defense. And Tim doesn't, obviously he had an accident, but he can't sing. He can't do all this stuff, he's like, anyway, we'll talk more about that, John, chat offline. But and then we get to, let me go back to Beale Street there, and let's go to that show because I want to see what are the highlights for that. Or I think it was the trifecta there, or it's so much to say. Anyone sees the bridge too much. That's the highlight there. Jimmy Thing tour debut is not a highlight. I'm sorry. And Cornbread tour debut, to me, not a highlight. To me, I know. I don't like Cornbread. I mean, Robert Randolph gets on it maybe, but Cornbread goes to nothing. Like it's a pretty cool jam. He has some pretty smooth. He's a slick talker. Patrick, it was a standard set list for Memphis because it's a festival. But Cornbread to me it's like if it was like a 30-second intro or just a jam, a breakdown jam for like 2 minutes, I'd be fine with that. I don't think it needs to be a full song. He could do his slick lines and do a little bit of jamming like for 2 minutes, literally just 2 minutes, tease us and then go to the next song. That's how I feel about Cornbread. But he does a good job playing on it, and the vibe of it is pretty dope. But to me, it shouldn't be a full song. It just keeps going. It keeps repeating itself, and I don't know. So I thought Beale Street, though, to be, to get that so much to say bridge to too much is a pretty cool thing. But everything else was standard. But that's what you expect. This is a festival. But to me, I've really gotten to appreciate too much. You swung for the fences, spoon. Yeah, talking tunes. Yeah, so you thought in churches was gonna guess. By the way, churches. I think the female from churches is getting like hard pressed because she stood up against Chris Brown, and like Chris Brown's fans are like going after her. Um, but because I think Diplo or someone worked with Chris Brown, and she's like, I don't respect Chris Brown. You're right. But I mean, Chris Brown, Briss Breezy as they call him, man, he's done some messed up stuff anyway. But that's a whole different issue. But he's talented. You can't deny his talent. But he's Briss Breezy as they call. Um, you know, you gotta be careful out there. Yeah, I didn't, and that's the thing is, I think this early in the summer, even when there's a potential for guests, we're not going to get a spoon. Even late in the summer, I don't know if we're going to get. The only way can guarantee spoon is like something like Dave and Tim in Mexico. The last 2 years between this year's spoon and then they did Trouble 2 years ago and Dreaming Tree, I think it was 2 years ago, or no, last year. It was last year. So this year they did spoon, and last year they did, I think it was Dreaming Tree, and they definitely did Trouble last year. So unless you're gonna pay $5,000 to $10,000 to go to Mexico, you're not gonna get the special collabs. You're gonna now Cortez was special, but you're not gonna get a spoon. But you know what, Talking Tunes? Hopefully, and I know your set list because you've been posting them on Twitter. I think that's you on Twitter, right? Talking Tunes that's been sending me them. Trying to think of who might guess. Yeah, okay, that is you. Yeah, I thought that was you. Some devil isn't getting more heavy run with Buddy. Okay, I thought that was you talking to us on Twitter because I know you gave me your Instagram. Some devil isn't getting more play with Buddy. Yeah, because I mean that's where he had Dave and Friends and you have the keys and all that stuff. I agree. Shoot, there's I mean so many songs that have piano. Even a now a Dream So Well is not going to be played probably, but it has piano. So if you're gonna take a risk, that's the song. But yeah, I just think well Dodo. Oh yeah, free Dodo, which was the movement started by antsmarching.org. The hashtag free Dodo. Um, yeah, the actual song "Some Devil." I actually like "Some Devil's" solo. I think it's really cool when it's in the encore one. But yeah, John, it's interesting. He's not going to Dave solo, and part of that I think, and I guess we should just talk about the sets now because now you guys. That's the thing. That's why we're here, and we can talk about some other stuff later. But I think that there's a couple different factors. So Talking Tunes, yeah, I like the reverb. Yeah, I do like the reverb and I like how it gets quiet. And I've heard it a couple different ways. I've heard it at the show, right? At the show being there. I've heard it from the parking lot. If anyone goes to Mansfield, Massachusetts, you will know it's a horrible place to get out. Long story short, Gillette Stadium is down the road. I'm a Patriots fan. I've been to 3 Patriots games in my lifetime. And there's 75,000 people there that go. There's 65,000 seats, and there's like 75. There's about seven. There's actual 5 or 10,000 between standing room and just people who tailgate. It's a pain to get out of. I've gotten out of Gillette Stadium and it's like a route. It's a 2-lane highway each way out of Gillette. This is not like a megaplex, like a major city. This is a 2-lane route that's like 50 miles per hour both ways. I've gotten out of Gillette Stadium for Patriots games quicker with 75,000 people if you count like the people who tailgate and party and who are standing room at the venue. I've gotten out of those places quicker than I've gotten out of Mansfield when I didn't buy a parking pass. It is that much of a it's just a maze. There's 19,000 people. Hartford has 30,000. They have better traffic flow because there's more ways out. There's 2 ways in and there's 2 ways out, pretty much. They've made a couple extra ways out, But the point is, I've heard some devil as I'm walking to my car. It's actually one of the coolest experiences I've had in my early days by early days I mean I'm like 2013 or 2014 I think it was, because I'm still very young in the concert fandom of DMB. But I love it on the way to my car to beat the traffic, and I love it on my way um, to just walking, being in the stadium, standing there in my seat. And I think I heard it once with Dave and Tim, so it's a different crowd at SPAC. I think he played it there. Uh, you get out of Michigan at the Big House, yeah. And that's the thing is a lot of these amphitheaters just the way they were built, they were put on plots of land, and there's only a couple ways out. Where Michigan State, they shut down the campus, or a football game, because it's just so many more people and there's so much more money. No offense to DMB, but a football game, an NFL game, if it sells out, unlike the Browns or even some of those Tennessee Titan games by John, not only sell, but even like football games when it's a full crowd, a college football game with 80, 90, 100,000 people, it's making the whole town money. So they got police, they got all this other stuff. Where DMB show, it's no offense to DMB, it's another drop in the bucket. They don't, it's a drop in the bucket compared to a major football game where people are buying so much more beer, so much more food. Parking can be charged more. So that's the thing is, I think when you get to a professional sporting event, there's more money in it to get people out versus these concerts and amphitheaters are thrown on these plots of land out in the suburbs and the outer links of a city, and it's hard to get in and get out. So I think it's hard. Now let me say right now, because we'll skip ahead. What do you guys think about the set list debate? As far as if you saw my video, premium, yeah, and that's what they have at. Well, that's depends on the stadium. The MetLife Stadium here in Jersey, a couple hours south of me. That's the same thing. You get the premium parking, you're out of that son of a gun easy, and it goes right onto the Jersey Turnpike. If you don't have that, you are stuck there. You are stuck in because the MetLife Stadium, that's in Giant Stadium used to be where DMB played, right? They demolished that and they made MetLife. And I can't imagine how those DMB shows were back at 2000, 2001 with Santana, open, being there. I don't know how fans were then because that thing is it's just you have to dump onto the highway or you dump onto local roads, but most people have to take the highway to get to the local area. So that thing is a disaster. And 80,000 people at times. And with DMB having that GA field and all that, I'm sure it was 70, 80,000. That thing is crazy. But what do you guys think about the set list debates? Just go ahead and drop your comments. If you saw my video, and I go back and forth, I really try to I'm almost like only complain about the set list. Okay, so Talking Tune said that. We'll get to that in a moment. Anyone else? There, yeah. So, but you guys saw the video. If you didn't see it, check it out on my YouTube page about the settlers claim. I go back and forth because I get both sides of it. Now I get more of the hey, just take what you can get. But I think I have, I go back and forth, but there's certain things I want the band to do sound wise, but setlist complaining. I think it's just the okay. So let's go in order here. So first we have Talking Tunes. He said that you should only complain about set lists if you are at the show or were at the show. I agree with that, Talking Tunes, to an extent, except when Shaking Like a Monkey is a closer. Then I'm like, no. If Shake Me is your closer, then you got screwed. I don't care what. Like that, I was upset. I was gonna protest in Pensacola and call the governor, DeSantis, and be like, whoa, Florida needs to stand its ground here. They shouldn't be able to leave the state of Florida on Shaking Like a Monkey. They need to go back to the venue and do that. But I think that's fair. Yeah, you did get Bo. I know, John. I know you got Bo, but Shaking like that's disrespectful. That is disrespectful. Shaking like they could do anything but shake me like a monkey. To me, that's disrespectful. You did get Boa and he did get Ray Rooney. But so going back to Talking Tunes, so yeah, I think that's fair because when you're at a show, it's different. Even if the set list isn't what it like on paper is one thing. When you're at a show, you know the vibes. There could have been a really good you and me. Actually, the last time I got you and me in Mohegan, it sounded really good. Now I went to the bathroom, but it sounded really good. Like it always, I guess, is a good song. Dave doesn't mess it up, but the sound just they were on it more than I think the last time I had heard it, which was like two shows before that because you and me is always freaking played. But I think that's a good point. And there's been other times certain songs I don't like just sound better there. And I think it's easy to I think it's easy to critique from not being there and looking at it and being emotionally invested, like I am with Shaking Like a Monkey. Um, and if you're not there, you don't know what it was like. Just like you can watch a game on TV or watch the headlines of like of a sports talk show, but if you were at the show and you know how the fan base was in your section or how it looked at the game or how it looked in real time, it's a different perspective being at the game, seeing a player, seeing Tom Brady live, seeing certain hockey players like Ovechkin live, seeing basketball players live there is different there. So I agree with that. Talking Tunes, and then what he said this right, and that's the thing. Talking Tunes last year, the energy of the band was just better last year to me. And I know people are stuck on the violin, just like people are stuck in their past. Life could be great, but there's something in their past. The demons haunt them. I think people are stuck in there's no violin or there's no this. The energy of the band last year was amazing, no matter what they played. Um, and yeah, most bands do play a rehearsed set list. So that's the thing is, you go to a lot of these shows and it's a rehearsed set list. So it's like, you're paying $300 to see Ringo. No, I don't pay. I would never pay to see Ringo Starr. No offense, but people go to see Ringo Starr. You go to see someone on Vegas. These people have Vegas residencies, and it's literally like a Broadway show without the fact that you don't have 15 amazing Broadway actors. You're going to see Gladys Knight or Britney Spears or some Earth, Wind, and Fire in Vegas, and they're playing the same set every night. You could have went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Now it's Vegas and it's fun, and they're gonna do some special stuff, but it's the same special stuff every night. At least this band does mix it up, even if it feels predictable. At least they do mix it up. And let's go to Patrick. So he said, "I'm surprised DMB never played Michigan Stadium." Um, May have been, yeah. I mean, the big house is different though because it's they could have sold it out, but logistically and getting a slot, and I think the concerns about the field. I know they've had concerts there, but like even Notre Dame, they just let what was it? Notre Dame Stadium just let that country dude who was lip singing, Garth Brooks, just play there this year, and it was a rainy thing, so it was a crap, like it was horrible. Um, the Beatles were so high they let Ringo sing a couple tunes. So that's what Patrick said. And then Patrick said, let me scroll up. He said, you shouldn't expect. Let me go back up to it. Oh, fans expect a Gorge, Saratoga, Alpine, Hartford setlist every show. That's not going to happen. Yes, and this is a thing that people have to realize. And even on antsmarching.org, people debated. They're like, no, they should play Pensacola. That you should have a special show anywhere. And to be fair, someone did point out like a couple years ago they played Shotgun there in Alabama because I was talking about how they're not going to do a special show in Alabama. And, they were actually 2013 was pretty lit, and then 2015 they had Emmylou Harris, I believe, guest, and they had some pretty like the shows were dope. Okay, now I still think for 2013 when they were on that run, every show was on fire when they had that 2013 show. So like it wasn't above the great sets in 2013 where I Got a Spoon, or Running Down the Dream, a Dreaming Tree, all in 2 days in Hartford, let alone what I got in Mansfield and who would guess the next day. So I mean, there were some valid points about how they did do some special stuff, but at the same time, I really think it's just like like acting. So Hamilton the musical, for instance, you go to see Hamilton in Broadway, Hamilton, New York, or you go see it in Chicago. Chicago was the first really satellite city to have Hamilton after New York. You go see it there, you're gonna get the best actors around. If you go to see Hamilton Salt Lake City or Hamilton Providence, which is coming up this year, I saw it in Hartford. It's gonna be a great show, but it's not gonna be on the level of New York. Same thing with the predictable set list players like the Taylor Swifts, even a Jay-Z who pretty much plays the same set. Patrick, we'll get to that in a moment. Their streams. Let me add that to the list here. What we're going to talk about stream DMB radio. There was a rumor from XM person, DMB family. Someone said that they knew someone that worked at Sirius, but we'll talk about it in a moment. But you can't expect the best if you're not in New York City, if you're not in LA, if you're not in Chicago. You can't expect the best like these special shows. Now, some bands do it. But even the Grateful Dead, even the Rushes, even when Rush plays the similar set list, they rotate stuff in. But the Grateful Dead and Umphrey's McGee and Fish, when they have certain shows, like when Umphrey's McGee does their hometown show, it's going to be a hell of a show. Same thing with Fish. Fish has amazing sets out of nowhere. They have random stuff in random cities. But when they do their Baker's Dozen, you're going to get something that wasn't played since 94, like literally wasn't played in 10 or 15 years. When the Grateful Dead go to New York City, you're going to get a special guest. You're going to get something crazy. Even their last Fare Thee Well shows that they did, those were special shows that they hadn't played certain stuff in a while. So even these bands, when Grateful Dead or Dead and Company goes to Shoreline or to New York City or to Boulder, it's going to be better than, no offense to, Talking Tunes in Ohio, but in Cincinnati or Cleveland area, Cuyahoga County, where they have that venue. It's Riverbend. If they go out there, they're not going to have the same set as New York City. They may have a special deep cut or two, but they're not going to have the same set. And that's the thing is with football, okay? When Tom Brady is playing a preseason game versus the Eagles, and that we always play we always scrimmage the same teams. I got my Patriots jersey on. You already know. My shirt, Patriots shirt. In a preseason game, he is not going to go all out and just throw the ball and go 4 quarters of hard nose. He's going to do one great drive. The rest of the drives are just going to be decoys for people because he's not going to show his cards into the regular season. In the postseason, there's a different game plan. Okay, that's what Pensacola and Jacksonville are preseason games. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say that. Now, they did a heck of a thing with Cortez and putting Raven, but these are preseason games. Okay, now this band, yes, they toured in Europe, but they take some time off. They can't just jump into the regular season. Okay, they took some time off. They're back in the States. The mindset of a U.S. show is different than a European show, okay? So they have to get ready. The summer tour is their regular season. Europe is almost like their OTAs or their off-season programming, and this is the preseason. This is why they always, they've started in Hartford and they started hard, 2010. But these first shows, they are preseason games, okay? You can't go. I don't care what type of musician you are. You still have to get into a flow because there's nothing like the live show. So that's how I feel. And then even so, LeBron James, as much whether you love him or you hate him, LeBron James, when he goes to New York City, he puts on a show and he doesn't sit out at Madison Square Garden. He'll sit out, he'll be hurt, he won't feel good, whatever. He sits out. Whatever you think about LeBron, think about him. When he goes to Madison Square Garden, he puts on a show. Kobe Bryant went to Madison Square Garden and dropped like 80 something, I think. One of those very high point total, one of his highs of his career. When you play at a certain venue, when you have a certain vengeance, there's a rivalry game, you play harder. It's just human nature. And people that think, oh, a random Tuesday in Orange Beach, Alabama, or a random Wednesday in Gainesville, Florida, they don't play there. There's not many venues to play except the Gators, Florida Gators stadium. But you can't expect them to play certain things like all out because no other artist really does that. Even Fish, with their random set list, and they don't play the same song. Um, They don't repeat it in a 2 week period. They still play special shows for Vegas or for if they go out to like they went out to Denver for a show I think and oh it's weed legal now and there's gonna be a special show. They go to Vermont, a hometown show. Um, there and but Patrick MJ put on a show everywhere he went, but he didn't have a. But the thing is, he didn't have different songs. Oh, Michael Jordan, not Jackson. Okay, but Michael Jordan, when he plays the Knicks, he wanted to send a message. And even Michael Jordan, like he was amazing. He had crazy point per game averages. But when you saw the Bulls, Knicks, or when you saw the Bulls, Pacers, those games are more high energy. Now he put on a show. Don't get me wrong. He put on a show. He did his stuff. But the passion that he had versus versus those those teams that he had rivalries with, and when he had with the Pistons back when they were the team before him, he put some extra in those games. And you can see it when the Celtics Bulls, you kidding me? With the Celtics Bulls, when he would go to Boston, Jordan's gonna have extra motivation. Now he put on a show, but in Charlotte, when the Hornets were there, like the first Hornets, he's not gonna be going like crazy. Like he's gonna put up his points, but he's not gonna have that extra aggression. He's gonna still be a hungry dog, but he's gonna have more energy. Back when the Larry Bird Celtics were at the end and Jordan was at the beginning of his ascension, and they're going like that, those games were intense. And my dad was a Knicks fan, so I saw those Knicks Bulls games growing up because we had watched those games. Like I was still very little. Don't get me wrong, I was born in '90, but when they played those games, my dad would be more animated. And he used to watch Jordan. Like even if they were the game of the week, he would still watch Jordan. So just my memories of when the Bulls played the Knicks and what my dad was doing, pacing for other, like it was more energy. So that's the thing. Let me get to talking tunes. Dave not being comfortable playing vulnerable songs in the incomplete ones, the dark emotional tunes. And I thought about that. Dave does play those tunes, is able to tap into something and put on a great performance. So he wouldn't just scrap them all together. He plays some of them. Yeah, you're right. He does. Yeah. So he does play so like Stay or Leave. I mean, Stay or Leave he's married now. So yeah, he does play those. He still does play some of those songs, just not all of them. Oh no, it's okay, Patrick. Don't worry. This is the stream. This is why we're here. You guys are the reason I'm here. This is why we do the stream because y'all show up every week when you can. He does play vulnerable songs, but there's other ones that he doesn't play, and some of that may be because of his voice, like Shotgun. But then he plays other songs like That Girl Is You, which he does his voice. That song's challenging for him. So I don't know. But he does play. He does play certain songs just really well still, like you said, that are dark. And that's a good point, though, that he still does play some of them, just not all of them. And I think the bigger thing is the incomplete songs and the vulnerable songs are just what he doesn't play. Now, he'll play the Kill the Preacher intro that he does. And, he still does a couple other intros and does a couple of expressive stuff. But I think one thing that you can argue that's not there, the spontaneous, like Grace Is Gone, a couple of shows, just like 3 times or 2 times ever, he had this special intro to Grace Is Gone. He does like he doesn't do that. Certain songs you hear Dave's guitar, he's jamming, like he's actually noodling on. Oh, you're saying, yeah. So he says when everyone wants to hear, those songs everyone wants to hear, but they don't play when he does, he taps into something and put on a good performance. Probably feels good about the performance, so why not continue to play those? Right, he does, yeah. So he is able to tap in on certain songs. And yeah, Patrick, he does have to work around his voice, and he's also not taking. Here's the other controversy about Dave's voice. Rap has gotten him to not take drugs, to be natural, all natural. Anything he's doing is all natural. Whatever I don't know what Dave uses, if it's herbs, whatever. He used to take more drugs that were legal for his voice. And Rab has said, no, we want you to go au natural. All right. You ain't getting the weave, Dave. You're gonna have your nice natural hit. That's what now, whether you agree or disagree, that's the road that Dave has decided to take. And maybe the drugs wouldn't help that much more. Maybe the drugs would only lead to worse things. But I'm not talking, these aren't, I mean, I don't know how they're addicting or not, but he's made a decision to say, no, I'm not doing that. And Rab has been a very key part in that. So that's a key thing too, is he's not taking those, but he used to. He used to take these drugs. And you know what? Whatever makes, if that's the thing he thinks is best for his life, I can't knock him. But there are some people, there are rumblings of fans who say, look, you should be taking those drugs or whatever, like cortisone. Yeah. Yeah, of course. So yeah, like those type of shots, whatever they do, those injections, like he did take those in the 90s and he doesn't anymore. So and I'm not a singer, so I can't debate, but but that's just something to keep in mind. It does matter that he's going natural. That means his voice is going to be human. Okay. So that's another thing about that. And I think that's another key factor. And I think too, maybe I'm right or wrong, but certain songs like Stay or Leave, certain songs that he played, he just has a rhythm of playing. I think he can just play those songs. Whereas certain songs and certain ideas, A Dreams for Will, Toy Soldiers, those may bring out certain emotions that he can't always do. Or maybe it's just the voice of, I don't know. But it's an interesting thing that you bring up, talking tunes regarding that, that idea of that vulnerability that I've been talking about with Dave, that he doesn't play some of the incomplete stuff. But he does too, because they did Break For It, right? What are they doing in Columbus? Was it Break For It or Break Free? I know they did one of them. I think it was Break Free. But I mean, they did write a song last year or a couple years ago. I mean, he's doing stuff like that off, randomly you'll get a song here and there that but Break Free, Encore 1. Right, it was the E1. So yeah, Break Free. So he is bringing some stuff back, and we'll see what he brings back this year. What else do we have for? Okay, so any other thoughts about Columbus? Oh yeah, Patrick is the Michigan guy. Hey, Patrick, man. Look, technically, Nationwide Arena isn't on the campus of Ohio State. Oh, what? They didn't play at Nationwide. Oh, yeah, they did play at Ohio State last year. I forgot about that. The Schottenstein Center. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's Schottenstein. Is it Schottenstein Center? I don't know. I know another thing I have is I have a vast knowledge of venue names, although they change them so much. Some of it's just from playing video games. Some of it's just from looking online. And like I used to look at stadiums all the time, just in college. Schottenstein. Oh, that's how you say it. That's how you. Yeah, I thought it was that. Yeah. It used to be what Value City used to have a sponsorship on it, right? Then it wasn't like a Value City Center or something. The whole state can burn. No. Patrick, be nice, okay? There wouldn't be a rivalry. Who would you guys play every year? You need that venue. You need the horseshoe to stay up, so you guys can play there every other year. Plus, let's be real. That if there's a state that could kind of get cut off, it's Kentucky in that area. Okay, Kentucky is Florida North. Okay, get all the educated and good people out of Kentucky, like the Kentucky Derby. Why is it in Kentucky? That's too good of an event for Kentucky. They're just crazy. It's Florida North to me there. And I've only been to the airport, mind you, but the stuff and the people that you see showing up and see from Kentucky or that are, I don't know. There's some good people in Kentucky, don't get me wrong, but there's some just crazy people out of Kentucky that it just, to me, it's Florida North. It's North Florida. It's like an annex, like where people say, oh, well, we're not in Florida, we're in Kentucky. Those are the two places you can go to be crazy. So if any state had to be burnt, I think it's in that area. I think it's Kentucky. Anyway, but let's stay focused here. Oh, and let's go to what John Dick said. So he said, setlist complaining, a frustrating thing. In search of posts are annoying. I sent John one of these, and I didn't want to make. I don't like to post like mock people on Twitter, but I'm sorry, like because I saw that I screenshot it, sent it to John. Someone keeps trying to like trade Deer Creek night one tickets for night two in some sort of trade, and I'm like, no, like now maybe someone does need night one. Don't get me wrong, maybe someone does, but like the same person keeps posting like in search of Deer. No, is it Deer Creek or Alpine? It's one of those, or maybe it's been both. But these people are trying to trade night one tickets for night two. No, no, like unless you have really good tickets for night one, and that other person happens to have tickets for night two, like just no, that's not gonna work. Okay, unless you buy them a hotel, a drink, and you pay their mortgage, night two is just gonna be even if night one is better, like in theory, mentally, night two is just that's the show you go to. That's the show that you don't. It's not an equivalent trade, and most people don't have night one and night two that are trying to trade. They're trying to. Everyone's trying to get night two and night one. Only people selling for night one. They can't go. So like some of these deals on In Search of are just ridiculous. Like, hey, I'm gonna trade you a corner seat that's like not obstructed view, but it's on the side corner, and I want to trade for pits, like for another show. Or it's like, hey, I'll trade you Philadelphia. Like people were saying this last year. I'll trade you New Hampshire, Boston pits for Philadelphia pits. Now, sure, there are people that travel along with the band, but during Christmas time or holiday season, who's gonna be like, I bought Boston tickets so that I could trade someone for Philadelphia pits. I put my warehouse request in. I live in Virginia, and I put in for Boston pits so that I could trade someone for DC pits or for Philadelphia pits. No, like people, some of these trades are crazy. So I agree with that. But people have the right. Hey, if someone's dumb enough to be hustled by you and accept your I in search of post, by all means. And then what else did he say? Most thing about fan base and political left wingers whining. John said that. I think anyone who complains about the politics of DMB, and he may be just saying like how most of the fans are left wing and they just complain about everything. But anyway, I think that a lot of the political stuff, like, oh man, the band has this stance. I hate it. Like, well, they've had the same political stance since like the mid 90s. And they made it more apparent in the late 90s and the early 2000s and the late 2000s and so on. But yeah, I just sometimes I can get annoyed. But okay, so that's the set list. Now I want to bring up a couple other things here we can talk about. The next thing is this GA crowds. Now this is the GA pit. This can be the lawn to an extent, depending on how you feel about the lawn. And the other thing is festivals. How do you guys feel about GA crowds? I talked to someone from the Jacksonville show, and see if they reply back. But I talked to someone from the Jacksonville show who had just a not so good experience with, things I won't go into, just the being pushed around in the pit and just having issues trying to get through the pit and it just was a bad experience for them. And the pit can be hit or miss. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes your area is good, but sometimes it's bad. What's up, Brian? But I think that the GA, like even the pit, the New Orleans, or the lawn at times, depending on the show, the lawn it's frustrating to just fight people. And I'm 5'7", I don't even try to add an extra inch or two. I even tell women I'm 5. I'm an honest dude. By the way, ladies, if you're looking for a single DMB dude, but I'm 5'7". I can't see over a lot of stuff in the pit or any areas. I have to stand to the back or I need elevation. So I've only been for DMB, I've only been in the pit once. And that's it. I've been happy to get lower level seats over the pit for the most part. Now, if someone gives me free pit tickets, or if I can get pit tickets for face value to Hartford, maybe I'll go. But that's impossible. That's very hard to do, to get pit, especially as one night. So like if I could get a deal on a pit ticket, if I was in Pensacola, if I lived in Pensacola, I would have tried to go to the pit last time. Or you know what? I would even try to be side stage really close. But I just think that I don't like the pits. I don't like the GA crowds. And a person I talked to from Jacksonville that went to the show just had a bad experience. Now they had great experiences. They were closer up, and then they got pushed to the back, and then they were shoving. Like it's just frustrating, and it can be very passive aggressive people doing stuff to you in the pit, and people, it's save my spot. I went to the bathroom. I'm shoving my way through. It's frustrating, and this is why I try to stay away from it. And you guys, Ryan and Patrick, talk about the lawn seats. I hate the lawn not because I'm bougie, but because I don't like the drunks and the loudmouths. And look, in Hartford, okay, our lawn is 22,000. The capacity is 22,000. They don't always sell 22,000 tickets to it. And some of the even the full DMB shows, I think sometimes they don't do it as much as the country or the older DMB shows. But it's a lot of underage people in Hartford. That's the only way you're filling up that lawn in Hartford. You have bigger cities and all that stuff. Hartford is a fairly, a smaller city in the scale of things. So it's like there's always 14, 15, 6. It's so sad. And don't get me wrong, I like to have a good time too. And don't get me wrong, in my college days, I've been on the lawn. Hey, what's up? How you doing? I'm Mark. I like to talk. But if I'm on the lawn as a college, and this is why I just even in my college days, if I'm on the lawn as a college kid coming through trying to talk to other college girls, and that's not why I'm there. I'm not there to see them, but some people are. But if I see a 14 or 15, it disgusts me. I just it's just like that's too young. Like leave your kids out. Like your kids should not be going unless they're with their parents. Like the 14 and 15-year-olds drunk, just to me is just that's too much. 17, 18 is a little more acceptable, even though again, technically that's underage. But still, like it's the kids who are like freaking sophomores and freshmen in high school that used to go when I was a freshman and sophomore to these DMB shows. Like it's scary in Hartford. I just go to the show nowadays and just it is way too young, but it's a problem in Hartford, and I worry about the safety of these women. And I've even been with me and my boy Joe went to a DMB show in 2013, and I look at some of these like some of these women are young ladies, and it concerns me to see the stuff that these predatory dudes, not dudes who are just trying to say hi and get to a girl, pick them up, but that are they are older and they trying to mat down at 16. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it too much, but that like there's a point in having fun and talking to girls that okay, they this, they that, they go to college with you when you see them there. But some of the stuff with these dudes in their late 20s and 30s, and there's high school kids that are 17, 18, just at the cusp. It's anyway. Let's stop that. But that's why I don't like the lawn. No, that's the lawn. Number one, the lawn just right. The smoke, to me, honestly, there's never been a problem with people who smoke. It's the alcohol, the overuse of alcohol and letting it get to your emotions is what screws up the lawn. Anyone who smokes, and I don't smoke weed. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't do none of that. But I know people who do, and that's their thing. But none of them have gotten into fights. I know people, that's a stereotypical thing to say, but to me, it's the alcohol is that. And there's some other stuff. There's some prescription drugs, but it's not as heavy in DMB as in other. Like, you go to Grateful Dead and you do have hair. Like, it is scary at some of those shows. But DMB is mostly, it's the alcohol with these kids. The kids, they could be doing other stuff for sure, but it's the alcohol that is causing them to fight. Yeah, Mansfield has the better parking lot vibes. And Mansfield, there's not those teenagers at the shows. Maybe 18 and them they behave themselves. They behave themselves, yeah, they may be a little tipsy, but they're 18, they're 17, 18, or 19. They're not 14, 15. And most of them aren't 14 or 15, but the 16 some of the 16-year-olds, they just look hella young, and I'm like, bruh, why did mommy and daddy let you drive down here with drugs and go to this? But that's again, that's just. But the lawn is just it just sucks because of that, and also you can't see sometimes because the views vary. And like you said, go to the bathroom in Hartford. Um, I mean, no. Oh, you're talking about the pit, but the lawn to get to the bathroom, those lines are crazy. But the pit is nice though. You can kind of part the Red Sea and they'll let you go back. But let's talk. So the lawn is just I don't like because of the noise and all that stuff. I remember I heard Spoon on the lawn. Only time I've heard Spoon, Hartford 2013. I heard it because people were so quiet. But Seek Up was the first song of that show, 2013, 6/8 2013, 6/8 2013, and like I couldn't even enjoy the Seek Up because people were so loud because it was the first song. But the Spoon was amazing because people were like going to the bathroom, like, "What is this, huh?" I'm like, "Yo, let's freaking Spoon, man, it's lit." So it was a thing. But so Lawn, I just don't like because of just like I said. The next thing we're going to go to is the GA Fields. This is why I do not want to. I didn't go to the DMV Caravan, nor do I need to go to it to know that there does not need to be another DMV Caravan. If they're going to do a 3-night show at somewhere, make it a freaking amphitheater or make it a stadium. Even if it's a baseball park. I don't like baseball parks for venues, but give us elevation, give us options. I don't want a freaking GA Field. DMB family today, I saw someone post about how they had their folding chair out, and this is Jazz Fest, so it's like people do sit down and they do have these areas more relaxed early in the day, then everyone gets more lit later at night. But they have their spot scoped out. They're gonna stand for the show, but they're just sitting down for the other acts. And someone just stands right in front of them, like literally, like no space, disrespectful in front of them. They're trying to sit down until DMB comes up, and they're literally like they right there. And it's just like they wouldn't move. Like, hey man, can you just slide over? Like there's plenty of space over there and there. No, no, not. And then someone stepped in, I guess, and got it resolved. But that's why I do not want another DMB Caravan on a flat area. They can do it at the Gorge. They can do it at Hartford because Hartford has a large lawn, so you could do a 3-night or do it at Camden or Saratoga. And I heard it was a great time. Saying like you have freaking David Gray as an opener, like that's dope. I love David Gray. So it's like you have all these people, it's all these great acts, all in one place for a pretty good price. But there's so many people, and it's a GA. Like people shove and they do all this other stuff. When it's all GA, I can't do that. And then with the pit, the next thing is hit or miss. Well, actually, going back to the GA Fields, that's why I don't really want to go to a DMV festival unless if the festival, like if they did Boston Calling, I may go because Boston is too out. It's 90 miles from where I live. I probably wouldn't go into New York City because New York would just be crowded. Like, they had a Central Park Global Citizen Fest. Like it just would be too crowded. There just too many people there. Where Boston, it's a smaller city. The roads suck. The roads suck, and the roads suck. But I mean, you get there, you can park, take the T in, or take something in. You can find a space to park, and it's not always going to be as crowded. Even though DMB has a lot of fans in Boston, when they have like the Boston Calling Festival, it's a pretty good time. And it's more low key than the New York Festival. So I would probably go to Boston. Maybe if they were in Connecticut, I'd go to a GA festival. But if it's a drive of any kind, I don't want to go to a festival because of the freaking crowd. So that's another thing. They can do their festival shows, but I'm just going to go to the regular full band shows. And then we get to the pit. The pit to me, again, I'm 5'7", so some of you guys are 6 feet, 6'2", 6'3". Some of you guys are centers and power forwards. You know, maybe the pit's a little better. Some of you guys camp out, whatever, and get better spots. And I'm sure there's nothing like rail. I've never had rail. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying there's too many factors to me to invest in pit tickets unless I'm getting them for face value. And where I live, you're not getting pit tickets for face value. By face value, I mean the 115, not the freaking Ticketmaster Platinum upcharge. So I would rather be, this is my thing. My favorite seats at a DMB show John Dix. I don't know if you're still on. I think John had to leave, but he had seats right the section before the side stage. He had elevation. He could see the full freaking stage in Pensacola, but he had elevation some 5 or 6 rows up, and he could see the full stage right there. I love that spot. I love the balcony at SPAC is amazing. Now I've never sat lower level SPAC. I can't. I'm sure it's amazing too, but the balcony you just chill. You can sing and dance and move, and you can see everything from a nice perspective. Give me elevation over anything. If the lawn area, let's just say the lawn area was just like they have like a in Hartford or some of the amphitheaters, like in the catwalk, you could have a little area, a GA area there. I would stand in the catwalk over the actual physical lawn because all I need is elevation. I don't care about being next to Dave and high fiving him. Now it'll be cool. It's nice to be close, but I just need elevation. I like to see the full band. Same with my sports. I think glass seats at a hockey game are trash. Now it's cool to experience it every now and then or once, but other than that, it's trash. I like to be 10, 15 rows up at a hockey game or the club level at a hockey game if I can squeeze it in. Same thing with football. Give me 15 rows, especially at Michigan Stadium, at you know, Ann Arbor, or at the Horseshoe for you guys, Ohio State and Michigan fans out there. I would rather have a 15-row cushion for football because you can see the entire thing and you can see over things. So that's what I like with DMB. So ultimately, I like to the arena shows are nice because you have the chance to be side stage or closer or have elevation with the upper deck. A balcony seat, it's like if you went to Pensacola, that balcony is like the mid-level at most venues. Mohegan Sun, the balcony is a mid-level at most venues. Those are still good seats. They're not the best seats, but they're still really, really good and really close for $35 face value that they were selling them at in $6 on StubHub the days before and the day of. Pretty good deal. I like that over the GA. I don't have time for that. So Burgettstown, they start to rise after the 10th row, so you get 20 at the third. Yeah, and that's the thing is I like to be in the middle of the pavilion. Now, if I could be closer, don't get me wrong. For a good price, I'd like to be closer. But the first couple of rows of the 100 level or the lower level of Hartford are so flat. Like I wouldn't be able to enjoy the show. I'd rather be in the pit. The back of the pit is better than the front of the thing. Like that's the thing is when I got to the pit in Hartford, I've been in there a couple of times for other things. When I just chill at the back, they got some elevation. I'm good. Okay. I don't need to now. If I could get rail, that's one thing. But if I can't get in the rail, if I can't get rail, I'm chilling in the back. I don't want to be in the middle or like 75% towards the front, either the first at the rail or at the back to me. But that's just me. I don't have the time to deal with this shoving and pushing and all these people. Humans are just look, concerts are expensive nowadays. Okay. They're not 20, $30. They're not 20, $30 anymore. They're not $75 for the best seats at DMB. And those are like front row seats back in the 90s. Doesn't work like that anymore. They don't even have seats in the front anymore. It's pit. But they used to have before the pit, they just had regular seats. So when people are even in the seating at SPAC, people trying to move and stand in the aisleway, like the walkway, like get out of, like we had to tell people get out of here, move, get out the way, Trick, get out the way. Like people are so annoying. Sit in your seat, okay? Tickets are too expensive. Now, if it's a GA, if it's a cheaper club show, whatever, that's one thing because that's a club show. But some of these things are too expensive unless someone agrees to it. Unless you say, "Hey, I got seats up here." Even so, most times I just want to stay in my seats, or unless it's an empty venue, which is a little different, then you can move up. But these people trying to in a sold out DMB show, at least for the in the theater, it's just so annoying. Trying to add an extra person to your row is annoying, bro. The show is sold out. Okay, in the amphitheater, there's no space. This is like Jesus. There's no room. You got to find a freaking barn, a manger to go chill for the show. Like there's no room in this section. People trying to snip, like it's so annoying because it's expensive and stressful. It's not like it used to be where you have an extra person in or there's a seat here and security doesn't really care because they know that seat's been open the whole time and your boy slides in. That those days are over. These tickets are too darn expensive. Okay. So I think it's just a very stressful thing. And that brings me up to my next point. We have a new system with how you get into the venue for the pit in the warehouse. So let me bring up the statement so I can read it off correctly. This is from the warehouse. All right, so it says, as a benefit of warehouse membership, warehouse ticket holders qualify for warehouse first entry at most venues this summer. To improve this opportunity for warehouse ticket holders, we are initiating a new policy for warehouse first entry to participating venues for 2019. Approximately 75 minutes prior to doors, we will distribute subsequently numbered wristbands on a first come, first served basis at the warehouse gate to GA pit ticket holders. We will cease wristband distribution 45 minutes prior to doors, at which time a warehouse staff member and a warehouse member will select a random number. Warehouse members and their guests in possession of GA pit numbered wristbands will then line up in numerical order, starting with the random number chosen. When doors open, the line will be walked into the venue single file in sequential order, starting with the selected number all the way to the GA pit. All guests with the warehouse GA pit numbered wristbands must be in line 10 minutes prior to doors or they forfeit their place in line. A separate line for first entry for warehouse premium package and warehouse reserve seat and lawn ticket holders will be set up next to the GA pit entry line for members who do not have GA pit tickets but still wish to enter the venue first. This is amazing. This is going to solve issues because, look, I know you want to camp out, you want to get rail. This thing is getting out of hand. The camping out and all this stuff, it's getting out of hand. Okay, and people need to enjoy. It's sad to see, and I'm going to the gorge for the first time this year. It is sad to see stories of people lining up for Alpine in the Gorge at 9 a.m. the morning of the show. It is, and I know it's for rail. It's to have a priceless moment with DMB. But I understand that. But to get in line at 9 a.m. is ridiculous. It's getting out of hand. It is getting out of hand. The amount of time people are spending in pit lines and in this and that. If you have a warehouse pit ticket, they should do this lottery system. Get there a little bit early, but enjoy nature, enjoy the destined journey, enjoy the tailgating. It's like just enjoy everything instead of just camping out at 9 a.m. And this will change this. And this whole like rush and push and shove, like there's too much stress to get to these shows enough. Single file lines. Thank you. This has been an issue and they're solving it. It may not be fully fair to those who want to have that chance at a moment to really be at the front of it to make rail, but it's gonna have the random thing will just say, all right, you pick up out of a hat. Some people do get it, some people don't. Some people are gonna get those rail spots, others won't. I think it's a good system to have this, have order, have something in mind, and then to have the early entry for the lawn, have that set up at a separate location or a separate line at the warehouse entrance. So that then if you have Saratoga Spring warehouse lawn tickets, then you can get in there a little earlier, get your spot, get it scoped out. So Ryan O'Connor, did I get any $5 teas? No, because even though I have a warehouse membership and knew about it right away. I wanted the Carter Beauford jersey in medium. They only had small. And I wanted that for my jogging. I don't even want to wear it out really that much in public because people are gonna be like, "Yo, that's a soccer jersey." Yeah, what? You're gonna be confused. But I wanted to get it for my jog, so like it's a athletic type thing I could sweat in and you'll be cool and be smooth and quick in. Um, Patrick, people that buy up all the posters, it drives me nuts. I've been on a ton of shows. Here's what I think about the posters. I think it is crazy that they do this. Um, I think it is crazy that people do the market for posters, but some of this, there's a couple ways this can be solved. Number one, there should be an option that even if it's not one of the original prints, if they just make a digital print of a poster that you can buy later on. Okay. Still have the rarity of the official issue posters that are made fresh, and then have a digital version that's a little lower quality for people later on. Because now it's still, well, people still try to sell the original ones, but some people just want the poster itself. Other people do want the value of it being rare, but some people just want the poster. Even a digital print would solve some of the demand. But I do think that it is crazy, but also some of this is driven by demand. People are so obsessed with posters. Now I am too, but I'm with different artists. I like to get one of each. People trying to buy posters for shows they didn't even go to is driving up this demand. People, people that are going to, um, that just buy a poster just to buy it are driving up demand. So people are making a business out of it. Now I think it should be limited to one per person or something like that. I think buying up more than one, I think they should do something like that, or um, let the warehouse get at, and if you do, you can go online that day and buy it, but just have a way to get fans to have more access to it before. But the point is, I think the reason they have it inside is because then people who join the warehouse just to buy the posters and sell them. But I don't know. It's a tough issue, but it's not cool that these things are being sold for so much more. But that's it. Any art. That's with shoes. That's with whatever. Yeah, they're hundreds of dollars at a time. But that's what, like, same thing with Jordans. It's just the people love these posters. If there was no demand, they wouldn't sell them like that. But it is unfortunate that people, they're in the hands of people trying to make a buck. Now, some people too, life changes, you fall on hard times. Some people do sell these online after they just need to make some money. Times are tough. They need to pay for something. They got some bills. But the problem is a lot of people who buy them at the low price and then resell them for a higher price. So and that's with tickets too. You can sell your ticket to someone who's a fan, and then they can flip it on. They're a ticket broker who bought it from you, when they pretended to be a fan on cash or trade, and they got it, they get it to their friend who's a ticket broker, the ticket goes up somewhere else. So it is a tough thing. I don't know the real right answer other than there should be the official release and then have some digital posters after, or have some that can be printed later. Because I think now the problem is if you print more, yeah, some of these are, yeah, they're gonna be a lot. And if you print more, some people are going to think it's devalued. But even if that artist has to go away and make a bunch more or do a second edition of the poster in the, like, off season, there should be a way for everyone to get access who's at the show. There should be a way for that to be, because then if that's the case, there's no secondary market. Okay, if everyone has a shot, or even if everyone has an ability to get that at the show. Now, some people want it who aren't at the show, but a lot of people who want it were at that show. So it is a thing. But to me, like, I'm tempted to buy DMB posters, and I have, like, my wall is filling up with concert posters. If I get married, I mean, I don't know what I'm gonna do. My wife isn't into into these. I'm gonna have to put them in, like, all one room or in, like, my closet, hang them in my closet. It's happy wife, happy life, right? But I mean, I just it, I don't know. I'm obsessed with posters, but I only have them from different one from each artist. The person that buys that poster is I mean, yes, but there are some people that just have money. Some people have the cash. They work hard, they play hard, and that's why it works. Now they don't. You don't know. It's hard to tell how many of these sell, but they are sucker. But some of them just have the money. So, and that's the same thing with the people say, don't buy over face. If you work as a manager or you work and you make six figures a year and you got no kids and you got your credit in line, all this stuff, who's to tell you not to drop $300 on DMB tickets for a SPAC? All right. We're not talking Pensacola. I'm talking SPAC. You want to get a nice seat in the lower level and you work hard all year. I can't tell you not to buy it. I would, I can tell you for other venues to wait it out, but I can't tell you to wait it out for SPAC because it's Saratoga Springs. I mean, tickets don't just pop up night one sometimes, but you want a night two ticket. I can't tell someone to not buy from a broker. I could say, don't do it. Maybe you should try to see and even wait it out longer and even put more than face, but don't buy it right away. But if that person has the money, they make six figures or whatever money they have, and they have their finances in order, and they only go to one show a year, who am I to tell that person not to buy over face? Same thing with posters. Who am I? I mean, buying cars alone is a hustle that's worse than posters. Now it is different, and these poster people, it's more of a slimy scheme. But a car salesman, someone who's selling you a house, even if you talk down a price, even if you talk down of a price of beachfront property, you're still paying a lot more than the actual value because it's beachfront property. You're paying more than the actual true value because you need and that's what it is with posters and it's $1,000, but we just don't think of it like that. But I still think I wouldn't pay more than face for a poster, even if it was like something I really like. I wouldn't. But if someone wants to pay $1,000 for a poster, people go shopping for much worse. People go on spending sprees for other stuff. They get into gambling debt for much worse. So Ryan spent $750 for Dave and Tank at the Oakdale. And that was a historic show. That show was hard to get tickets to. It is supply and demand, but Pat. And the thing is, though, but I think of it. I'm more of a macro guy, and it's okay to have your opinion to disagree. I think of it on a macro level. Okay. And I know it's very short-sighted and it can be like it's not a strong argument at times. But my thing is this: there are so many more hustles in life than buying a $750 poster that's really worth $40. Okay, like I said, like property taxes in certain cities, cost of a house, cost of a car. Even if you talk down that car, it's ridiculous. Cost to repair a car, what they can legally charge to repair a car is criminal. There's some child care. Okay, you got these. They hire 16-year-old, and look, I've been working with kids since I was a kid, and I volunteer at my church. So I've never really gotten paid to work with kids per se. I volunteer, but you're telling me at a daycare, and if you guys have kids, you know this, at a daycare. They're paying these daycare workers nothing. A lot of them are 16, 17, 18, and they have a couple supervising adults. They pay them nothing, and they rake in thousands of dollars per kid. They'll look at your salary. They say, pull up your salary, and we're going to charge you based on your salary. That's your daycare price. So if you make more money, you're punished. And if you make less, your lower income, they give you a little discount. But you make too much money. Oh, wait, you want to work and achieve in life? We're going to charge you more for daycare. Daycare is a bigger hustle. And I know it's deflecting and it's skirting. But to me, a poster or a ticket above face value, it's not the worst thing in the world. Things should change. And I wish it was more fair. And I wish more fans got a hold of the posters at face value and the tickets at true face value, not at this freaking Ticketmaster Platinum price. But there are so many things more criminal than a ticket price over face value. And that's the thing. And that's how I feel. And I think that if you buy it or you don't, you make that decision. You buy it or you don't. And that's what someone does with their money is what they do with their money. It's not my money. I think you should be smarter. Like I said, Pensacola, I warned you guys. I'm not an economist, But I could have told you the ticket prices would have been cheap. I could have told you Jacksonville, yes, the pit was expensive, but the lower levels were face below face. Yeah. $85 for lower level sides for the day before and the day of. Even the week or two before, they were below face value of the below the 115. Um, Next up is the streaming. So someone on DMB Family said allegedly there was they know someone who works at SiriusXM and there's talks to bring back, I think it was in June, to bring back the DMB radio. Obviously, XM, I would, well, not obviously, because I don't know what's going on behind the scenes. XM would benefit from DMB radio. The question is, will DMB management do it again in a non-album promoting year? Now they've gotten a lot of success and it is creating buzz. Management, I think, has some. They have to know. They have to be judging. They have to know that there's a lot of buzz. DMB radio this time hit really hard, and the internet was able to show why it hit hard. Now they had it back in 2012, I believe. The internet was still around, but um, that the thing is, there was a lot of vocal opinions on the internet about hey, DMB radio should be a permanent, like a thing we do next summer. So will it happen? I don't know, but someone from DMB Family knows someone at Sirius that said it's in the talks, in the works. I don't know. The other big thing with this band is they did release a bunch of live tracks to Nugs, and that's a downloading platform for live shows by video stream and audio stream and audio purchasing and video purchasing. Yeah, there's okay, yeah. So talking to says you've been tweeting to the powers that be every so often to bring it back, and they've gotten engagement. I've always said this. I've said it a bajillion times. It's up to DMB management. Now, Sirius can maybe, based on the feedback, offer a bigger price. But if there's no price to be offered, or if the price isn't realistic, Sirius is going to say no. Streaming is the way. Streaming makes money per stream for an artist, for their management, for their whoever's tied to revenue from the band. The problem with XM radio is when they can get a bigger paycheck from Sirius XM, but the DMB management in the band doesn't make money per, like, if the viewership doesn't matter, they only can negotiate that next time. They can say, well, your viewership for last year, 2018, was this, so we want a bigger check this year. That's all they can do. Streaming is real time, meaning if there's a bunch of people who stream DMB, the live tracks, or download them from Apple Music, like I've done for the ones that don't own, that's money they get right away. Now they're fractions of pennies, but that's money they get right away. There's ad revenue with Spotify. SiriusXM doesn't have as many revenue streams as streaming does. And that's why the management does not want to broker a deal per se. And that's why XM is probably, my guess is, look, we're only going to pay so much for DMB radio because, yes, we're going to get subscriptions, but that's it. We don't have ads. It's ad-free radio for the most part. They only advertise their own stuff, or if something is simulcast on XM, like on ESPN and radio and XM, that's the only time they have commercials. So they can't have ad money on DMB, but on Spotify, you can have ad revenue from the freemium versions of Spotify. And every time people play DMB on the free version, every couple songs, you get an advertisement. And that's the biggest thing about it. Can it make money? And does the band want to do this? The Nugs, them signing on with Nugs, the free download you got from buying a ticket to this current tour, the summer tour, you got a free download. That was on Nugs. And right, I think it is a test run for the future. And I just hope that they will consider it. Now, here's the thing. A lot of their friends in the music industry have these live streams on Nugs for video, audio purchasing. Any Umphrey's McGee show I've been to, I can literally buy right now. And I've been meaning to buy the one from this. I keep saying I'm gonna put it off. I have the money. It's just I keep mentally saying, I'm gonna do it later. I'm gonna do it later. The one from this year that I went to New Haven, Connecticut. It's not even like it's a Seaville night two or whatever. It's just a random show in New Haven, Connecticut that Umphrey's had. None of the songs will probably make the Hall of Fame list or make Song of the Year. Like, oh, remember that song? But I love the shows because it's Umphrey's McGee. I can buy that album right now after I get off this stream. It can buy any Umphrey show, pretty much virtually any show in the last 5 or 6 years, if not more. And there's some spots here and there where they just didn't have it or it wasn't available, didn't have the technology to do it for that show. But you can buy all this stuff. If DMB wanted to do that, they would have done that decades ago. Now, I think that the buzz and the popularity and new revenue streams is going to create this dry run that we're seeing now with Nugs. We'll see what happens. I would love for everything to be there, but their biggest thing, the management and the promotional team for DMB, the live tracks are the thing to do. The live tracks are the way to go. That's just what they do. Okay. The Hartford, just to put this in perspective, for instance, on the Cinco de Mayo sale, I bought this shirt from Hartford last year. That's a special Hartford specific tour shirt. They had them for Noblesville, a lot of shows they had them for. The Gorge, Saratoga Springs, and even some like Florida, I mean, Texas had them. How much Umphrey's takes? 20, 30 bucks. And you can pay a little more than that, 35, 40, 50. But Umphrey's ticks are mad cheap. If they were like, I love that. That's what I love about a lot of the other bands outside of DMB. Tedeschi Trucks, Umphrey's McGee. I can go to Umphrey's McGee, Tedeschi Trucks. If I wanted to go see Widespread Panic, I could see all three of them for about the same price of a D. Like if I really 30, 30, 30 or 30, 60, 30 or whatever, I could for the same price of a DMB ticket, I could see all three of them. 32.50 straight up, all seats and sections, right? And then you can pay to get snow cones. You get the soundboard here. Now that'll be a little more. I think it's like 100 or something. And then you have to pay like a deposit. You can get access to the soundboard. The Struts are coming, Patrick. I may have to check them out. The Struts are coming to Hartford at the Webster. The venue's a little shaky because it's in the hood, but I may try to go. And that's how, Dave was like that in the beginning. The tickets were mad cheap. But the thing is, Umphrey's and Tedeschi Trucks, these are Grammy-nominated artists, but they're like, you know what? We're not going to raise our prices. Like Tedeschi Trucks, their prices, I got tickets on the secondary for like 50 bucks dead center at Hartford. Like dead center at Hartford. I got seats like for 50 bucks. And their tickets have risen a little bit depending on the venue, the Tedeschi Truck, but they could charge so much more. Like they bring a freaking choir. They have it's a whole experience. And it is what it is. DMB just got more mainstream popularity. They have a certain going rate. They have certain production costs. They have certain crew that they have to pay for. But Umphrey's and Tedeschi Trucks and the Twiddles and the Widespread Panics, like the Government Mules, like these, the Abbott Brothers, these are the sweet spot in music that I'm getting more into to go more frequently to these shows because they're just so much more affordable than DMB or the classic artists that I've tried to see. I've checked off Rush, Elton John, Allman Brothers, Billy Joel up there. Like I'm checking off Stevie Wonder. I'm getting them all checked off, and I'm just going to these younger artists, 40s, 30s, 20s, those type of artists that aren't at 50 yet, and they're just affordable shows. But hopefully this dry run with Nugs does lead to something. Now they always stream a couple shows a year here or there that you're gonna get. But I would love to see more content on there. But what was I getting to? My point with Hartford was this. You could still buy that Hartford tour shirt. And Hartford was a hard ticket to get to. The amphitheater sold out. But they didn't sell out of the Hartford tour tee. They did not sell out of that. The poster, I think, was gone. You can't buy the poster anymore. But the tour t-shirts didn't sell out. However, the live tracks from Hartford from 97. If you go onto the website right now, they sold out of the Live Tracks t-shirt. That's a show that the majority of fans have never even been to. But they sold out of the Live Tracks t-shirt. How do you think the sales of for the album are? To sell out of a t-shirt, you're wearing this and you probably didn't go to this show. And it's not even like a Grateful Dead Boston Garden. It's Hartford 97 Live Track. Like it has a little eagle or like a seagull, whatever, which is pretty cool. It's a dope shirt. But I didn't go, so I don't want the shirt really. If it was a live track I went to, I'd buy it in a heartbeat. That thing is gone. They sold out of stock. So that's what you're competing with. Now, sure, if DMB charged for video streams, and if they did a charge, if Nugs did a charge for video and audio purchases, the band would make a killing. But there's something about holding back their albums, especially after this band passes away and they want to leave this to their kids. They can release all sorts of live tracks after they're done to make revenue. Talking to says, I wonder if they'll do a collab with SiriusXM for the Friday night SiriusXM streams live on SiriusXM, and then offer you that for sale streaming plan on Nugs this summer. I think they would just do Nugs all or nothing. I would love the SiriusXM streams to come. I think it's tricky when you partner with both. The more profitable way to do it is to do it with Nugs. Here's why. SiriusXM, you're getting it's a platform for everything. You can't buy DMB a la carte on SiriusXM. You take it or leave it. Where Nugs, I don't really care as much about SiriusXM because the DMB radio is trash. The playlist selection is trash. Now the streams are amazing, but the playlist in between the Friday shows were horrible. I can make better ones myself. Matter of fact, I do. I think that because with SiriusXM, there's not as much money and revenue in making a deal with them. So I would table a deal with Nugs and say, look, let's do a video plan for like Friday night streams. Just Friday nights. Let's do a couch tour stream because during the week you may not get as many sales. But let's just try to start off with a couple Friday nights. You can buy this high definition purchase of it. You know how many people would buy those stuff? They would make so much more money because every person that comes to the table, you're charging to stream this or to get the audio. Where SiriusXM, they make up a figure, and even SiriusXM can only make so much money because they're on a monthly plan type thing. And then guess what's going to happen? After the DMB partnership ends, they're going to cancel. After the tour season ends, guess what I did? Your boy pieced out. I actually, no, I wrote it out. Here's what I did. Because I wrote it out for Lock-In and I think another festival. I wrote out SiriusXM, and I can afford it, but I just don't buy it. I don't pay for it because it's just, to me, it's a waste of money. But I got DMB radio, and then I got Lock-In. That weekend of Lock-In, I was just sitting back, driving to my friend's house, listening, chilling. Sitting back at the crib, beautiful day, windows up, listening. Outside, walking around, listening to a whole Lock-In festival. But they're not making any more money off me. But I really think that right. So it's essentially pure profit. If you don't offer the video, you aren't going to get. Right. But even if they just did an audio only, people would buy these shows. Now, people support the taping community, but people want the soundboard. People want the soundboard recording from DMB shows. And just like we talked about Talking Tunes, we talked about how the soundboard it was so raw from Sevo Night 2 because they didn't edit it really. Maybe they did. I'm not really a sound guy myself, but it sounded so raw. It didn't go through the live tracks, hair and makeup and add extensions type makeover. They just kind of put it out. They took the soundboard, pulled it out, maybe did a couple things and put it out, and it was so raw. They could do audio only, it would make a killing. They could do audio and video, and they make even more money. And I would pay for it. Other people would pay for it. There's so many people because the one thing that they have going for them is this. The that other bands have they almost some fans take for granted that everything is on like Umphrey's fans, every show is for purchase. So they're only gonna pick the shows that are the bigger festivals, the bigger events. But with DMB, you don't have any live shows on a Nugs type thing. The only way to get shows is tapers or something that's been officially released by the band. So there's a video somewhere Dave says they don't let fans plug into the soundboard anymore. Used to be able to listen to tapes on the way home. Okay. They used to, yeah. But it's like if I could buy like what would happen? This is what would happen. Okay. Let's just say they do audio only. Starting in May. No, it's May right now. Starting in June, we're gonna offer any show in June, just June, audio only. Guess what people would do? They would start buying up the month of June. Oh yeah, I think yeah, talking to us. I think it's because people would sell it, and plus, I think this band is very sensitive on what gets released. Okay, they like to like with Fenway, they put artificial crowd noise. That's why I hate that live track. They put artificial crowd noise in. Other stuff you can tell that they've turned down Boyd a little bit, or they've kind of modified his stuff because he may have been wild on a spot, may have had a screech that's edited out. There's definitely songs on live tracks that I felt like Boyd is being muted or something like it. That's not how he sounds live. Even though I wasn't at that show, they did something to turn him down, and they do this. They modify, they turn things up. Dave's guitar gets turned up, I'm sure, in a lot of these live tracks because you can't hear it at the show in certain spots, especially the newer 3.0 DMB 3.0 show. Um, but yeah, they probably did that for so that people couldn't make a profit. But if you sell it to the people directly, the first month that they just did the month of June, people would just start buying up those shows to have the soundboard recorded. I certainly would. I would look at the sets and be like, ooh, this thing came up. This thing came up. I'm gonna start spending 20, 30, 40 bucks. That's for probably, they sell them for $9.99 MP3, so a little more for lossless, high definition audio. But I would start buying up certain shows or certain songs to see how they sound, so I can get a better idea of the greatness of this band when they're at their best. At a Raven, I would buy the Raven, or if the Cortez show, I would just buy it just to hear that Cortez with Susan in high quality audio. So if they say, "Oh, you have to," nope, you can't buy the individual track. You have to buy the whole album. I'd buy Jacksonville, because it's new, it's fresh. Well, what's happened with Fish, with Umphrey's, McGee, with some of the other bands that everything is released now, fans start to cut back. All right, I don't want to spend that much. No, you're right though. You're right talking tunes, and that's a one thing that maybe helps the case. Um, that they have enough in their back catalog that they could still come out with. They could have their future shows on Nugs. That is a really, really good point, especially now that Boyd is good. And I know, I say I don't care as much about Boyd, but he does matter in certain senses. Like prime Boyd does matter. Boyd from 2013 to, or even I would say 2009 on, is hit or miss. But they still have the best shows. They can keep those in back catalog and release everything else on Nugs. Because everything right now, let's just be honest, everything right now is hit or miss, but we would still buy it because we're just happy to be able to buy it. A lot of the shows are, there's a lot less spontaneous moments in shows. The set lists have always been the same, but it's just they're getting to the end. So they could sell these at $9.99 a pop, $12 for CD, 15 for lossless, like a lot of artists do. And then the back catalog you save for the later years. You save for when the band retires. You save for when, unfortunately, when the artists start passing away and they want certain things to be released. Right. And Ryan says he heard tapes from the 90s, no edits. And I've heard some stuff. I have some New Year's run tapes of 93, 94, 95, I think it is. Or 90. Like I have three of those years. And they're amazing. They sound great. There's no edits. And even sometimes Dave's guitar isn't in like the pristine tuning, like he's just tuning it by ear, but it still sounds amazing. The raw when the band is raw at that's when they were at their best. Even Dave's clunky guitar when he had those older guitars that weren't all high quality, and some of them were used to cut through so you could hear him through over the sax, over the violin. But I mean that stuff is amazing. And they can still release that stuff officially. We'll still buy it. Okay. We're not gonna be like, oh, well, we have nugs now. We're not buying anything. Sorry. Like, no. If something comes out from 96, 97, Sweet Briar mentioned by Patrick Brewer, I love Sweet Briar. The rawness of it. And again, you can hear Dave's guitar. And it's in a way that it's not even heard with Dave and Tim, because you get to hear how he plays Jimmy thing. You get to hear how he's gonna play Dancing Nancy's without anyone there. That's why I love the Blockbuster taper. The that was the promote Under the Table and Dreaming. It was just Dave playing there. It's cool to hear just Dave's parts. You hear says the tape player looks like a UFO, right? Right. It's still cool to have like the tape player, the records. Although sometimes if you don't have a good record player, sometimes and some records don't wear off. But like it's cool to have those older mediums. The sound is different, and the sound was mastered for that tape or for that vinyl record, and that's what makes it cool. It was engineered for that in another year, and it captures nostalgia, it captures yesteryear. So um, I really hope that that's a really good point you made though. Talking Tunes about the back catalog is. I'm gonna steal that Talking Tunes. I'm gonna take that. For a future. But the back catalog, it's there. They have an established. They can pull shows, and that's why I tell people they're like, "Why isn't this a live track? Why isn't that a live track?" They are saving that son of a gun for a special day. And again, this is about legacy. They want to release some of this stuff after they retire. Oh, your dad has an '87 Pink Floyd. Um, thanks for the. Oh, okay. I appreciate you letting me use that Talking Tunes. No, I'm ripping it from you, but really good. Um, yeah, the tapers. By the way, I have a Pink Floyd calendar. I showed it in another stream. It's over there. I don't really get it, but it's a really cool calendar. It shows the early years before Dark Side of the Moon and the Wall. It's like the late mid to late '60s. Really, really cool. Because every month I get to see different pictures, rare pictures, never before seen pictures from most people. If you were with the band and you have archive stuff, you've seen it, but like most public hasn't seen some of these photos. And they made a calendar every year. There's 6 or 7 or 8 photos at the top of the calendar for every month, and it's really, really cool. Glad I got it. You get to see some of the stuff they were doing before, that Dark Side of the Moon and Wish You Were Here and the Wall and all that stuff and animals. You see the old, like the really, really young Floyd, like little Floyd, little Pink Floyd, like they're really young. You look at some of the pictures of Roger Waters and the rest of the band, and it's like, whoa, they look really young. So it's really cool. But I'm gonna save the Tim thing for next week, just so we have more. We're at an hour and a half. But we're next week. You have a lot of Genesis shows, few Pink Floyd and Rush. Oh, you had a Genesis fan site. Interesting. Interesting. I really, I've delved into because I love Rush. I love Genesis, and I mean Pink Floyd is Pink Floyd. I mean, who doesn't like? But I really think it's cool the journeys that those songs are like with Genesis, Trespass. That album, like the way it flows, is like almost can people diss certain albums for being all one song, but like the first two songs on Trespass, I think it's like Looking for Someone and the other one. Um, how it just flows. It's a story, and like it's okay. We don't have to have a radio edit. We don't have to do, yeah, Looking for Someone tonight. Yeah, Like, and then it goes to what visions of whatever. It goes to that like the third song gets all like majestical. Like it's cool. Like I love that about classic rock in the '70s is these songs were journeys. Even the mainstream songs that you have, these songs are journeys. Like Don't Fear the Reaper, like Visions, yeah. So like these songs are all journeys where now everything is radio edited, everything is cut. Even the '80s, things were cut short, but like the songs were journeys in the '70s. And Permanent Waves, Jacob's Ladder. That song from Rush, like that is a song that just like flows through. And there's a couple other, I mean, Rush is a great example of that. Like, yeah, Hemisphere, Xanadu, and like everything from that, like it's great. Like some of the stuff I can't listen to, but I have to be in the right, I have to have the time first. Like on my breaks at lunch. Oh, Floyd is, I was just listening to Time. Um, I did a 6K run today and I listened to Time. Oh, Hemisphere. Yeah, Hemisphere is just the way they just make they're like mini movies. And but the thing is, and the thing is too, those albums they put the best 45 minutes of music that they had for that year out. They didn't. Now you have stuff like the Who Has Tommy, and you have 2112 for Rush, but the backside is like just a whole like they have their concept for the first part of that, and then the backside is just a bunch of crazy 2112 or 2100. I don't know how you say it. I wasn't alive when the album came out, but like the backside of that album, oh, Natural Side, yeah, not I love Permanent Waves is just great. Spirit of the Radio, Natural Side, like it's just that whole album is great. But like the backside of 2112, oh my god, it's like Passions to Bangkok and like Lessons and all like the backside of that album is just it's a gem. It's like, oh, we have this amazing or like story about this guy who's like this guy who's being invaded. And then oh by the way, the B side is just like arguably just as good or better of just random songs. Like but that's what I love about the '70s and part of the '80s. Oh, Animals, yeah. I mean that little da 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 like oh Bravado, Roll the Bones. Yes, that album. You know, I listened through. I'd never made a video about it, but I listened through from beginning to end every Rush album. Just I took a like if I was in the car, if I was at, I was like if I was in the car, if I was at work or whatever, I just listened through everything front to back because I have every Rush album except Clockwork Angels. But I streamed Clockwork Angels. Um, I need to listen to more live stuff. I haven't listened to a lot of. There's some stuff for Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, and I've heard some Rush stuff. Exit Stage Left or Right, whatever that is. Like I need to listen to more of the live stuff for that because that's what they did. They made an experience. They brought it to life live. I've only heard a little bit of Pink Floyd live, which is I know that's crazy to sound, but like I've just been meaning to listen. There's so much music to listen to. My brain goes, and as you can see, even on the stream, it's an hour 43 right now that I've been on. Just a bunch of different stuff. Earth, Wind, and Fire, Ryan O'Connor. Yeah, oh, that's gonna be a great. And that's the other thing too is I have Earth, Wind, and Fire. Problem is, my mind of music. I've just gone in like 5 different directions at the same time. Between the R&B and soul of Motown to the again the classic rock, the Rush. Because I didn't grow up listening. My parents didn't grow up listening to a lot of. Um, I've heard about that. That's the Pompeii, and then didn't Pink Floyd, and then didn't Homie go back to Pompeii like last year, a couple years ago? What's his name? Not Waters. Plant? No, not is it Plant? Was it Robert? I always get Zeppelin. Everyone with who went? Oh, David Gilmour. Yeah, I always they're all like all in my head. And But yeah, David Gilmour went back to Pompeii, right? And I heard that was pretty dope too. He went back there and did a show. But yeah, I have to check out that. But yeah, that's all right. Yeah, this is all. We got a lot of stuff. Let me get back because I want to catch the end of this game if it's still on. I didn't see that, Pat. He's selling his guitars. Did he fall on hard times or something? Or is he just trying to get? I guess at the end of his life, is he just trying to get? Oh, it's overtime. All right, I gotta get. I need to turn on ABC. Oh, charity. Oh, that's dope for charity. That's dope. I'm glad it's not something. But all right, this Houston Golden State game. It's an overtime. I totally lost track, which is good. I was planning to only be on for an hour or so. But next week we're gonna talk about Tim Reynolds and about some stuff there. Yeah, I see 117. Oh, Houston has a lead. Okay, let me get this game on. Thank you for the update, Talking Tunes. I get to pop this on, and I have streaming because I took my HD box out, so I got the ESPN streaming from my parents' house. So I can't just turn on ABC because my HD box is gone and the tuner doesn't get ABC. That's a whole different thing. Oh, Golden State. All right, well, let me get back to this. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I appreciate all you guys. Ryan, Patrick, John, who's off. Thank you. Or maybe he's back on. And Talking Tunes. Thank you so much. I'm gonna go out. Check out. I'll possibly do some videos depending on what happens this week. Check those out. Let me know what you guys think. It's your boy Conservative 34. I'm out. Peace.